So the base is down, now we need to get the sides built. What I'm going to use is some 3x2s or some 38x63mm timbers. So I can use the base to work out the side walls. Now, the back wall is going to be 200 centimeters high, the front wall 210, so I can get these marked out and then join up the lines. From there, I can work out what the angle needs to be. Or should I say what the angle actually is? So we're looking at 87 degrees, so I can just tilt the blade over by 3 degrees. So what I've done is screwed on a couple of 3x2s on the front and the back to represent the front and the back walls. Then I've cut a nice straight bit that's going to be the base for the side panel. Then these angled bits can fit in place. I've cut two, so one bit's on the frame, one bit's a capping piece. And I'm just going to repeat this 2 times. Now the uprights all have exactly the same angle as this, so now I can start cutting them and getting this screw together. So rain stop play. I'm glad I waited to spring to do this. These end panels are going to have windows in. So I've got these sealed units, no frames, but I'll talk about them more in the next episode. So at the moment I'm just going to frame around them, leaving some extra space to take into consideration the frames that will be there in the future. So that's it, 2 end panels done. Now I like this method of working. There was no drawing plans and working anything out. It was just marking out on the base and making sure everything will fit. And also, it's hard to go wrong when you do it that way. So now I can start on the back wall, which is the simplest because it's just a flat wall, no windows. It's going to be made the same way as the base, out of 2 frames, as I don't have any timbers long enough. But setting up a stop on the miter saw means I can get all the bits cut to the same size, get it all laid out, and then it's just a question of getting it screwed together. I work out the positions of the studs, so the B1 where the sheet goods meet in a bit, and then I can get them screwed in. Now, with the 2 frames done, they can just get pushed together and screwed to each other. The last thing to do for this frame is to get a capping piece along the top. Now I'm going to stagger it so this one will go over the existing joint and just get screwed onto the top. I'm going to sheathe the wall in OSB, but before I get that on, I'm going to half drive some screws into the bottom. These are what's going to secure it to the base, so to get them started now will make life easier a bit later on. To sheathe it, I've got some 12mm OSB. So I get this put on, and then I can get it screwed to the first edge. Then I'm going to use the same method as I did with the base, of manoeuvring it so that I can use the sheet goods to actually square the frame up. Now the OSB's on, but it's overhanging the bottom edge. Now I want it to overhang, but I want it to overhang the thickness of the base, so I just need to trim off any excess. This overhang is going to be useful, but you'll see that in a little bit. And that's the back wall done. So now onto the front, which is basically the same, but it's about 10 centimeters higher. And this one is a little bit more complicated because it's going to need a door and 2 windows. So the same as framing the ends, I get the window panes put on and then frame around them, leaving a gap for what I think is going to be the thickness of the frames. So now I need to get the front of this sheathed with the OSB. Normally I put 4 sheets on and then cut out the doors and the windows, but I'm a bit short on OSB, so actually I'm going to cut it up to make most efficient use of what I have. Leaving the sheets whole and cutting out the openings for the doors and the windows definitely makes everything stronger, but you do waste a lot of material. This way I could use up every little scrap I had. Unfortunately we just had a problem with the supplier, and I could have waited for the stuff to come, but I'd have lost a day's work and I really didn't have the time. So now it's time to actually get the walls up. I've got it all flat packed. I've got the front one on the top and it's got this lip, so all we've got to do is lift it up at the back so that this lip will tip over the edge and secure it. Then I've got the back one underneath to be able to do the same, and then the sides can go in and I'm going to sheathe them afterwards. So I've waited to do this because today the family are here with the big guns. This is Claire, hi. Right, so this is the front. This bit sticks out and it's going to lip over that. So we need to get on the back, lift it up until it lips over the front, and then we're going to attach it down. Now this thing was not too heavy, but it would be difficult to do on your own. So I mainly just gave them instructions. If they could all shout at once and give me conflicting information, then it should go up in no time, which they managed to do perfectly. Can you go down that edge and help? No, they did a great job. And it's amazing, you spend hours or days making all this stuff and then you get 4 walls up within half an hour. So you can see I'd pre-driven those screws into the base, and now I can just go around and drive them down to lock it into place. And I'm not going to put any bracing, just those screws are going to hold it for now because it's a nice still day with no wind and it's not going to go anywhere.
Don't feel at all alarmed.
With the front screwed down, we can now do exactly the same thing with the back wall. And this in a way is actually slightly easier because it doesn't flex because there's no door opening. Again, I get those long screws I'd already started driven down into the base, and then everyone can let go. So with the front and the back on, the side walls can go in. And they go in with a nice friction fit actually, they're almost perfect. They just need a little tap to bring them into place. And then they can get screwed down into the base and also into the front and back walls, locking everything together. Right, pull the trigger.
Oh, that's good. Look at that.
Another one. I'll get it started because I need to pull this out a little. Okay, do you want to grab the drill? Oh, pull that like that. Right, go on, push your hand on top. Push. Right, let's start. Having all these helpers certainly made things go along quicker. No, that's not true at all. It just made it a bit more fun. Good. The last thing to do on the end walls? No, that's not true at all either. The next thing to do on the end walls is just get this capping piece put in, and then that can be screwed on. And the actual last thing to do on the end walls is get the OSB sheathing on. Now, this building is 2.4 meters wide, so the sheets fit on perfectly, so there's no cutting in that direction. But one will have to be cut to go on the top. I get all the obvious screws put in, the ones around the outside where I can see where studs are, and then I can use the rail square to mark out where the other studs are and get those screws put into place. Now, the windows do need cutting out on the end walls, so I thought while I'm halfway through, it'd be easier to start it with the saw. So first I cut down with a handsaw, and then I come back with a jigsaw to finish the cut. Now for the second piece. Now I could have worked out the angle, marked it out and cut it first, but I thought I was just going to get it in place and then deal with it afterwards. So I get it sat onto the first board. I use a clamp just to help hold it in place there, then I can get some screws driven into place. Instead of screwing it on now, I could have just marked along that top line, taken it down and made that cut. But there's a lot of ways to do everything. So now I can cut the second bit of window out and I just use the jigsaw for the whole thing. And for the excess at the top, I just ran a circular saw along and cut it off. Now I just repeat the process on the second one, which went up much quicker. You always learn how to do things on the first one, and then the second time it's so much easier. So here I've got a bit of cladding that I'm just using to draw a straight line, and then I can run the circular saw along that and trim off the excess. So there we go, 4 walls up and sheathed. Not bad for a morning's work. So that's the walls all up. Now I need to get it all wrapped with a breathable membrane. So what I've got is some galvanised staples. I'm going to get this unrolled, starting at the bottom, wrapping it around, stapling it on, working my way up so the overlap is always above the one below. Two pairs of hands would probably make this easier, someone to hold everything tight while I get the staples in, or vice versa. But we were doing this on Easter Sunday and everyone was more interested in roast lamb and chocolate eggs by this point. I'm just going to cut the last bit in half to maximise how much I get out of this. It was a 1 metre wide roll I was using, so if I'd done 3 strips there'd been quite a lot of wastage. And I know I'm going to use some of this again, so I was trying to save as much as possible. As you can see, the wind was starting to get up now, so I was very glad we got the walls up in the morning. As soon as you stop filming. I fold the excess membrane over the top plate and get that stapled down, and then I can trim off any excess. So that's it, walls are up and it's all wrapped. It's amazing, you spend days framing everything and then it all goes up in a couple of hours. So next time we'll get the roof on. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.